Hello, everyone. I'm Joel Porterfield with Synergy Advisors. Thank you for joining. We're going to be discussing the Microsoft security defaults today and their new location. With me is Gael Nicholas. He's one of our senior consultants with Synergy Advisors. Go ahead and go to the next slide. If you don't know who we are, Synergy Advisors is a team of consultants, managed services individuals. We also do training. We do proof of concepts, pilots, production implementations of Microsoft solutions, our own solution, and some partner solutions as well. We're a Microsoft partner company. We have developed some of our own co-sell solutions as well to enhance the reporting of Microsoft 365 solutions and also enhance data protection as well. We're located across the Western Hemisphere in the United States, Central America, and South America. Next slide. And I'll hand it over to Gael to go over the agenda.
Thank you, Joel. My name is Gael Nicholas. I'm senior consultant with Synergy Advisors. And then today we are going to speak on security defaults. This is the agenda we are going to follow today. So we'll have a small introduction as far as the origins of security defaults. We are going to speak on the security policy changes. Just go ahead and explain what is security defaults. We also will speak on the multi-factor authentication changes, right? So we are going to see the different method that this new feature allows us to MFA. And we'll speak on the privileged access changes. Also, we'll touch the changes to the legacy authentication and how you would enable security defaults. We'll also have a small demo. And towards the end of this presentation, we'll have questions and answers and final recommendation. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide. So security defaults origins. Those are basically a set of predefined baseline protection policies that used to be on the conditional access portal. Basically, Microsoft had decided to make a move, which the end goal is to make sure that all organizations using Azure AD just have a basic level of security enabled at no extra fee. So if we're looking at this, if you are familiar with conditional access and you have the subscription, the licensing that allow you to use conditional access, if we look at the baseline policies, those are most of the baseline conditional access that are being labeled security defaults. Again, it's from the Azure portal and with the licensing of Azure AD Premium and Premium 1 and Premium 2. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide here. So we are looking at new baseline policies. Another changes that we're looking at is the unified multi-factor authentication changes there. So therefore, you're looking at users and also admins being redirected to register with MFA once this feature is enabled. An admin is capable of switching on that feature by going to the Azure AD portal. And once this switch is turned on, it's on the entire tenant. There's no targeted users or exception. Once the feature is turned on, everybody on the tenant, all users and admins are susceptible for this new security measure. By enabling security defaults, that also blocks legacy authentication. And if you already have any type of conditional access policy in place, you cannot switch this on with those policies already working. You'll need to turn off conditional access policies to have this enabled. So looking at the multi-factor authentication changes there, unified multi-factor authentication registration. So every time a user or an admin would go to an Office 365 service, rather if it's checking the email or other Office 365 products, you'll be prompted with a registration page. This basically will be a reinforcement, and you will see on the message that you will have 14 days to register for MFA. And all admin roles are required to perform all the additional authentication every time they sign in, as compared to the users, where some users, depending if they log in with a specific location or a specific device, it will not be as often as if all admins were to basically sign in on those services. So we are going to go ahead and look at the authentication method differences. With security defaults, the only method is through the mobile app, the Microsoft Authenticator app. If you're existing customers with conditional access and you have very in-depth, detailed, granular conditional access in place, you would remember that you have several other options to authenticate with MFA. You could use a verification code. You can use a text message on your phone, call the phone, or also use app password. With security defaults, the only authentication method is on with the mobile app. Looking at privileged access. So this is basically access to the Azure Resource Manager API, either if you're a user with elevated permissions or you're a global admin. Accessing the Azure portal, the Azure PowerShell, or the Azure command line will need to complete additional authentication. And you will not have 14 days for multi-factor authentication registration. So that will be instant. You will have to complete the registration process in order to gain access to those resources. The only exception is with the Azure AD Connect securitization account that will not basically be part of the enforcement for security default. I'm moving on to the next slide. So changes to legacy authentication. With the enablement of secure defaults, older Office clients that do not use modern authentication will be blocked from accessing Office 365. For example, you're looking at older clients like Office 2010 and any other clients that use protocols such as IMAP, SMTP, or POP3. We do know by enabling Azure MFA that legacy authentication does not support MFA. All authentication requests made by an older protocol will be blocked. Just to mention as a note, as is still commonly used, Exchange ActiveSync is not in scope for this policy. However, for security good practice, it should be good to look for a goal that will enable modern authentication within your tenant. Now, this slide speaks on how to enable security defaults. If you're a global admin, you can go to the portal.azure.com and then browse to the Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, and then locate down the Properties section. You would go ahead and select the Manage Security Default, and then click on Yes to enable security default, and then save the settings. Now we are looking at the end user experience once that setting is enabled. If a customer tried to access Office 365 or their email, they'll be welcome with this prompt, letting them know that the organization has set up a set of securities that requires to keep the account secure and provide some extra information. On the security enforcement page, you'll have an option to basically finish the registration process. The mobile app will be the only contact and authorized way to MFA. And once you have that mobile app download on your mobile device, you can only go ahead and scan the barcode or enter the code in the URL to approve that account. And that account will basically be successfully registered. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick demo real quick here. I'm going to bring up my portal. So I'm logged in here with a global admin, and I'm on the Azure Active Directory section. And all that we need to do is basically scroll down and hit the properties section. And this gives us the directory properties. And we'll go ahead and hit the manage security defaults. And since I've already enabled this tenant, this selection was already selected in yes. So how is the user experience? I'm going to go ahead and bring a different browser here. I'm going to go ahead and paste one of my users from this tenant. I'm going to go ahead and click next. I'm going to enter the password for this account. Make sure I have the right password. So this is the welcome prompt that you get, letting you know that your organization needs more information to keep your account secure. You do have 14 days to have this done, so a user can go ahead and skip for now. Or if you want to go ahead and have this process done, you can click on next to finish this process. So this is where you're welcome with the additional security form. So I'm going to go ahead and select mobile app is the only selection, as we mentioned before, and put a check mark, and we see notification for verification. Okay. So in the meantime, I have the app already downloaded on my mobile device. And I'm just going to scan this barcode and just to show you how this is done. I have the mobile device here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that mobile device and on the app, and I'm going to go ahead and scan the barcode. I will minimize the screen and then hit next. And I'm receiving the notification on my mobile device, and I'm approving. And this should be done. So this user has access to the Office 365 portal. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to our section here. Oops, we went a little bit further. So that was the demo here. All right, so some of the things that we should consider before turning this feature on. Obviously, this set of security settings are not for all organizations. So one thing to consider is to ensure that if you have any type of emergency accounts or break glass accounts, those are the accounts that you'll like to omit from any type of MFA. So you at least, if the service is down, that you have access to Office 365. Enabling security defaults will not give you that feature there. So it's something to consider there if you are already leveraging, for instance, conditional access and so forth. Device-based compliance where you will require to have a token or a text message sent to you will not be one of the options when you enable security defaults. So you also want to evaluate any type of in-house apps or applications that rely on legacy authentications. So some of the things that you want to go ahead and consider before enabling this feature. Again, this is not for all organization. If you are already on a subscription that offers like granular settings on conditional access, you probably have the best subscription already, right? So this was mainly aimed to customers, according to Microsoft, that do not leverage the conditional access and a secure way to protect their tenant and their identity. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Joel. The next slide.
So if we would like to offer a 30 to 60-minute session with any of you to take a look at these security defaults in your environment and do a review on them and see how best to optimize these settings for your organization. So if anyone is interested in that, in taking advantage of that and having one of our consultants take a look with you and do that evaluation, please contact us. We have on the next slide, we have our contact information here. So you can either email sales@synergyadvisors.biz or ping us on Twitter or reach out to us any other way. I don't have our phone number. If there's any questions as far as this, please send them to us. If you haven't been able to send them to us in the chat here, please email them to us. We'll make sure that one of our consultants gets back to you with an answer. Thank you very much for attending. Gael, do you have anything else?
No, don't see any question on the Q&A. So if anything, just go ahead and contact us and we'll be more than happy to assist you.
Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good day.